Welcome to Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions, the podcast where we dive deep into impactful and inspiring conversations with amazing professionals who've turned their challenges into stepping stones for success. I'm Johanna, your host, and each time we meet, we'll explore the stories and journeys of remarkable individuals who are PAs, doctors, professionals, mothers, and mission-driven changemakers, from the halls of the hospitals to the hearts of our homes, and into the communities we serve. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between and see life through each other's perspective. If you're seeking fulfillment in your career and life, I've got something special for you too. Download our free guide on how to be a fulfilled provider. It's packed with tips and insights to help you thrive while balancing the many hats you wear. And for all those parents out there dreaming big while raising little ones, check out Little Evie's Big Dreams children's book series, available now on Amazon. These heartwarming stories inspire kids to chase their own dreams, just like you're chasing yours. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready for uplifting conversations that will leave you inspired and equipped to make a greater impact. Let's jump in. Hi friends, I'm so excited to have today with me Chera Meredith. She is a game developer and co-founder of So Peculiar. It's an indie game studio based in East Tennessee. Alongside her husband Craig, she creates games that emphasize the positive aspects of life, believing in the transformative power of play to enhance minds, strengthen spirits, and heal souls. They recently have developed and launched their new game, Bug and Seek. So I'm so excited. You can find them on Instagram at dev_Chera and Twitter at So Peculiar Games. But I'll have those links on the notes at the end of the episode. But so thankful to have you, Chera. We also have a connection as friends back in college a long time ago.
And it's so good to see you.
It's so great to see you and talk to you after so long.
Yeah. I would have to do the math to figure out how long it's been. It's been that long.
I know. Yeah. And the amazing thing is you look just exactly the same.
I would think the same about you. Yep. That's funny.
Haven't aged a bit. And I can't believe that you have a 14-year-old.
Yes. 14 and 10, two boys.
Yeah.
Oh, they put a few gray hairs in here for sure. Yep.
Can't hardly tell. But it's amazing. And so thank you again for coming on. And the amazing thing is, I remember about Chera is that she just learns so quickly, so fast. And I think that is how you got into game development. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for fun.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. As you know, I was in college as pre-med. My thought was I'll go to med school because I do love learning and there's a lot to learn in the medical field. That path did not work out for me, which is a something I'm thankful for now. At the time, was not comfortable. Just felt like, well, I failed. Now what? But we did start having a family about the same time, where I realized medical school was not going to be an option for me. And so we had kids, and I stayed home with my kids. And my kids are actually what got me into video games. I enjoyed playing them in college and as a kid, but I would not have called myself a gamer. And then I had boys, and they really loved to pick up the tablet and play anything digital. And so I started exploring, why is that? Why do they like this so much? And really fell in love with game design as a way to teach and tell stories and engage people in a very different way. And so, long story short, I began Googling how to make a video game, and just kept solving one problem after another until I realized I really like this, and I think I want to keep doing this and make more of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because you, out of just wanting to be more present with your kids, you decided to do something so unique to kind of do with them, right? Because I think I remember you talking about how they were kind of really integral in the whole design and ideas
For sure.
going into the game. And
Yeah, I think a lot of parents, understandably so, kind of shy away from video games because it's a world that we don't understand, right?
Right.
You know, we're
Yeah.
90s kids, so we're still trying to
Yeah.
figure out like what happened to our bread and why is it bad now. So trying to figure out like what is the dangers of video games and why does my kid want to play this and what are all these terms? It's just overwhelming. And so sometimes the response is let's just not and keep life simple, which is totally fine.
Uh-huh.
For me, I wanted to understand a little more about why they were so engaging and really became fascinated about that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting because I was looking into some research about video games myself, and I found that a lot of the research we are used to hearing is the addiction, depression,
Mhm.
aggression, but newer research has shown just like creative aspects that develop the brain, have like skill development,
Absolutely.
and educational components of like being able to learn more because you're constantly learning something new, and so, some of these different newer video games that aren't just um, what we think of like Duck Hunt or something, but
Right. I love
there's
Duck Hunt.
so
Yeah.
so many new games that kind of have teaching and learning aspects
Yes,
to
they've
it.
evolved quite a bit.
Yeah. And so that was kind of interesting to learn about, and of course, the spatial recognition and all of those types of aspects of hand eye coordination and just all of those types of things that go along with kind of what kids can improve in and learn as they're doing these video games, which sometimes we just focus so much on the negative aspects of the video games. We're like missing out on some kind of actually positive things that can happen from them, right?
Absolutely. And it's encouraging to hear you say that as a medical practitioner because you do just video games often get lumped into screen time, right? And
Mm-hmm.
screen time is a general negative. It's like sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Like we enjoy it, but we should try to eat as little as possible. We should try to consume as little screen time as possible. But I don't think all screen time is equal. There are passive ways to engage with technology, and there are very active ways to engage. And so, some of the research I think you're referring to are those like those active things where you can actually heighten your cognitive ability, you can heighten your reflex time, improve your ability to learn and adapt. And so there are studies, even by the National Institute of Health or the American Psychological Association, that shows kids who engage with video games show an improved ability to act reflexively, to learn quickly. Yeah, even socio emotional development can be improved with engaging with games, which is really fascinating.
Because they were talking about how games nowadays have like a community aspect, online
Hmm.
community,
Hmm.
because there was a social stigma with that, like isolation was a concern, but
Right.
I think they have like community aspects of some of these games. But yeah, I mean, screen time is huge and a huge issue with kids these days too, because there's so
Right.
many screens coming at us
Absolutely.
and available for kids from like age 0
Yes,
on. And I think it's a balance,
for sure.
and there should be a balance as with everything, right? And so how did, like, with your kids and getting into video games, like how did you create that balance? How did you create that positive aspect of video game and game development and all with your own kids?
Yeah, yeah. I encourage parents to have as much conversation about it as you can. So, and I use the analogy of sugar a lot because I think it's something that we understand a little bit more. When my kids are 2, I give the rules around how much sugar you can have because they're not going to moderate that themselves.
Yeah.
And and they're not really old enough to understand when I say you should have something healthy first and then you can have your dessert. And so those rules are mine to set. But as they get older, we have more conversation about what a healthy diet looks like and what you should be eating and making sure that you're getting balanced meals. And so I can back up a little bit and let them make a few more choices. And I think that's the goal with all things as a parent, right? To like slowly release them to make good choices. And so the same is with video games. When we can have a healthy conversation about too much screen time and what that looks like and why, then our relationship is getting stronger rather than me being the bad guy saying, no, you just can't do that. And it empowers them to make better choices.
Mhm.
And not every kid is the same, right? I've got two boys, and one of mine will self-regulate pretty well around screens. Like he'll just be done and he'll want to go outside and play other things, and that's great. But my other one, who's 14, he would live in his gaming chair on his screen all the time and forget to eat,
Yeah.
so for him, we've had different conversations, and I do have to set some more boundaries. But I think that the key thing is not to ever shame him for wanting to play more games, but
Mhm.
try to understand, like, what is it about this that you really like? And let me help you do this well, but first you got to do your homework, and we got to make sure that you're having some time in the sunlight touching grass. um, make sure that we're putting healthy boundaries around it. And so when we can talk about those things, then the rules become less about how much time should we spend and more about what's healthy for my this individual kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that because two things, every kid is different. So
Hmm.
every kid will have different ways of interacting and teaching.
Hmm.
And another thing is that communication. That is so key with everything in life. And I know that that's what I remember from my own parents, how much they communicated with us. And that developed that relationship and that trust and that
Yeah.
foundation. Building a foundation is needed first
Yeah.
for kids to know what is right, know what is wrong, and make decisions, right? But if they don't have that communicated to them, how will they know? And of course, it's communication and action, which is what you did with your kids too,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
putting those things into action. But that's yeah, it's interesting because it's definitely something where each family has to kind of, I feel like, make their own set of rules and regulations
Yeah.
as they go, um,
Absolutely.
and see what's best for the child at each developmental stage too. Varies, and each developmental
100%.
cycle and where each where they may be changes. So yeah, so because you kind of got into this just YouTubing away, and so
That's
that's like
the
so
millennial way, right? Like,
we can Google this, but
exactly.
it's like amazing what you can learn to accomplish on your own. And so, like, what is one piece of advice that has helped you in this journey?
Yeah. I Johanna, I don't know, I don't know how much you remember about college. For me, it was all a blur. But
I know.
I'm a recovering codependent, hardcore, and so the idea of like making something and putting it out there in front of everybody and looking like a failure or looking like I can't do it, it was
Mhm.
really scary. And so one of the greatest lessons that I have learned through game development is that failure is perfectly fine. Like,
Yeah.
failure is okay, and it can actually be the better thing because
Yeah.
you learn a whole lot more from failure than you do
Uh-huh.
success. And so in game design, even in the process of making a game, it's failure after failure after failure, because you're doing a lot of trial and error, you're testing things, you're finding what's the most fun, or what is the way that this works in the code, or what is the animation that that makes it feel the best. So being okay with failing and mistakes was a huge lesson for me, and something I would tell everybody who wants to get into game design is just expect to fail a lot and make that okay, and make that part of your learning process.
Yeah.
um, I think for me, the mental stuff, like the head games of trying to create something and put it out there, has always been the most challenging. There's challenges in the technical side, of course, but if you can overcome the mental hurdles,
Mhm.
you can learn the tech. There are enough videos and tutorials out there to learn how to code. But I think what stops most people is that it just feels really hard, and sometimes just gets overwhelming. So if you can manage and work on some of those mental agility, I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, that's really important. What you said is failure.
Hmm.
You have to get okay with failure, but I think sometimes it's redirection in a way, right? Because some of these things you're not really failing, you're just finding different ways to accomplish what you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know in the first part of this conversation, you said you felt like you had failed not getting into medical school, but that was
Hmm.
like a redirection
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
that journey took you to what you something you really liked in life and what you really love to do. And
Absolutely.
sometimes those are not failures. Those are not things that are negative, but actually redirecting to us to something that's positive and this actual solution to our
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
That's beautifully said.
I love that because it is as you said, you're putting yourself out there because you're saying to the world, like, I am learning something totally outside of what I'm doing and, before, and I'm just gonna go for it. And you accomplished it. You did it. You conquered and you
We
got to the
did.
end goal. And I'm really amazed and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
congratulate you on your
It feels good.
accomplishment. That's amazing. Yeah.
It feels good. I'm glad we didn't stop before
Yeah,
we got to the end.
I know. Because actually, now, I mean, you created a business, you created something completely new for your family out of this. And it's kind of, how would you describe how it's, creating this new venture? How has that impacted your family?
Yeah, I think the list of ways that it has not impacted our family would be shorter. It started out as my thing, right? My hobby, and maybe something I was doing for my kids, but they were young, so it's not like they could really participate a whole lot. Now they're old. I started when my oldest was 5, and now he's 14. So he's actually helped do some of the artwork and even some code on certain projects. So they've come a long way, and it's affected our whole family. When my husband actually decided to join our game studio, that was a really surprising moment. That he was an attorney for 10 to 12 years, and then found out he was going to lose his position at work, and so we were devastated and know what's going to happen, and prayed about it, and really felt like it was time for him to come into something creative.
Yeah.
It's very different for him, and so we made a strong pivot about 2.5 years ago. We moved and sold our house, moved out to the woods, put some money in savings, and started this business, and said, let's see if we can make a game from start to finish and get it out there for sale and start living off of that as our income. And so that's what we set out to do, and it's happening. It's not quite at what we need, but we're getting there, and just it's out there making sales, and we're like, this is amazing. Just the adventure that we've been on as a family, and our kids, I love that our kids are getting to see that, even if it doesn't take off, and we have to go get regular jobs. like like just for our kids to see us do this crazy thing because we felt like this is where God was leading us, I feel like is has been worth it, and the time that we've gotten to spend together has been invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were just touching on this a little while ago that it's just amazing how you guys took a risk. You set out, took a risk on your dreams, on the things that you actually have wanted to
Yeah.
accomplish in life, which a lot of people are afraid to do because they're afraid to leave the security, comfort zones, and things that
Yeah.
they're used to. Because it is scary, it's overwhelming, and it's unknown and a lot of uncertainty. But it's just really beautiful how you guys as a family, like, of course, prayed about it and thought about it, but decided to take those risks, take that chance, and um, go for it 100%. And, it seems like it's paying off. It's like
Yeah.
you're, you have actually accomplished a game development, and
Yeah.
it's amazing
Yeah,
to
it's
see
pretty
that.
wild to look back when we start listing all the things that we've done in the last 2 or 3 years. We're like, "Oh, wow, that was no wonder we're tired." That should be no surprise. We've done a whole lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, it's no easy feat to learn something completely new and, actually create some actual business and
Yeah.
um, a game or, what you've accomplished. It's remarkable. And I think, like, that's like a life lesson for a lot of people is like, in order to actually accomplish what you want in life, if you have a dream, if you have something you have inside that you would love to accomplish, you have to take that risk and chance, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
go
and
for
it
it.
I say too, it doesn't feel like sometimes what you think it might feel like, right? Like
Yeah.
I've had people say, "Oh, you're chasing your dreams," and that's amazing, and it is. It is amazing, and it feels like getting up in the morning, making the coffee, responding to the emails, doing the work, finding the
Yeah.
solution. I think in my mind, I really thought it's going to be like a movie montage, right? Where we like have this
Yeah.
like rockin' song and we're just cranking it out and then we get it done and everyone's happy. And it's not like, it's work. And then in
Yeah.
the middle of all of it, I still have kids and I've got,
Yeah.
one sick kid home right now. And I've got stuff that needs to be done, and we've got taxes, and like all the boring stuff of life is still
Yeah.
there. And so
Mhm.
I think also just tempering our expectations of like, what does it look like to walk out a
Mhm.
dream? And how does that
Mhm.
actually feel when you're in the middle of it? It's been humbling and a gift, really, because I think
Yeah.
it's been a really healthy perspective shift for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard work. It's a lot of actual getting into the nitty gritty and
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
after things. And it's all on you. It's all
Yeah.
on you to have to actually accomplish it. You
Yes.
don't have like, you're the boss, you're the everything.
Right, right. It's
Like,
the startup. It's the startup season. Like you got to show up every time or it
yeah,
doesn't get
yeah,
done.
exactly. Yeah. And so, but that's like, you know, amazing what you've accomplished and
Thank you.
seeing that, living out that hard so that you're doing the hard that you've chosen, but you're accomplishing what you
Yeah.
wanted, right?
Yeah. And the hard that I've chosen is always going to be better than the hard that we have to do. Like someone else
Yeah,
chooses for me, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'll take the hard that I've chosen any day.
And so, like, but how did you like focus and create that mindset to commit and pursue this new adventure?
Yeah.
Did you have anything in particular that inspired you, or?
For sure. Fire is a good word because I think at the beginning, a lot of it was driven by inspiration, right? There was a particular game that I had in my head that I wanted to make. So that game drove me, I think, every day for a while, wanting to tell this certain story and wanting to make it a reality. And so um, I would, I would use that inspiration as kind of my energy. And then for better or worse, it may have actually helped that I had young kids at home and my time was limited because it made me really look forward to that. Like, he might nap for 1.5 hours, and then I can actually sit down and work on the thing that I want to be working on. So I would look forward to those moments when I could actually create or learn the next thing. And that drove me for a little while. And then I just found some really good community and which is funny because I'm making video games, which is very much like a solo thing, or my husband here, the two of us together. But for a while, it was just me, and everything is on the computer. So in a way, it's very alone.
Mhm.
But I did find some really great people who also like are believers and they wanted to make games and they were super passionate about it. And we kind of stuck together for a while. And so I would meet with this group of there were 6 men, and we would all meet online once a month, and we would share our progress and talk about like what is God doing in ourselves and in our work. And it was really encouraging. It was great to know, okay, a month from now, I want to show them something. I want to show them the progress I made. And so that accountability was really invaluable. And just knowing that, when you're in the thick of it, there's
Mhm.
somebody else in the thick of it too. So I think that can be applied to whatever venture you're pursuing. Just having somebody to go with you on that journey is huge.
It does make a difference having that accountability and
Yeah.
that encouragement from somebody else who understands what you're going through.
Yeah.
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 But another thing that came up when you said, because they were mostly men. So that
Yeah.
does bring to the point, like, how is like the gender balance, so to speak, in video game development? Or have you met a lot of females in this industry? And how is it being a female in this
Yeah.
industry?
I mean, it is kind of what you'd expect. There is predominantly male. And I have met a few women along the way that are in game development, but it is mostly men. And it's funny working with men. It's just a different dynamic. Communication is different, and it's sometimes it's refreshing. Sometimes it's like I just wish that like I could share with a woman who gets like how I can talk about my feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a different kind of space, but it's also been really fun. And yeah, I found some good brothers in arms, I think, along the way. And having my husband be a part of it now has been good to introduce him to like all these people that I've met over the years. And for him to go, yeah, these are good people. Like, yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. So, like, I mean, why is it like that? It's more male dominated in video
Hmm.
game development. Is it just because we kind of tend to think that video games mostly boys play, or
It possibly started that way. I do think most game design involved coding or computer engineering at the beginning of the gaming industry, and so that career drew more men. There were definitely more men being educated, more men pursuing higher education, and so it really was only accessible to men for a certain time. And then as women have become more educated over the last few decades or even the last century, then I think that field has expanded to women. Also, though, games have evolved from being mostly code on a screen to works of art in a way. Like they involve a whole lot more skill, and different number of skills than they did when they first started. Because when you first made a game, when computers first became a thing, they were making games and it was ones and zeros. And then it's, lines of code and pixels on a screen. And so it was very math and engineering oriented, which it's a gender stereotype, but maybe it's true that that just draws more male minds than female. And then games now contain a lot of art, they contain animation, it's story. It is still a lot of code, but there are so many other skills. There's music. People buy soundtracks for games now more than they ever have,
wow,
just
I
to
didn't know
listen to
that.
the soundtrack of a game. Yeah. So
Cool.
so the number of skills is increasing that are required to create a game, and I think that invites a diverse group of people, in terms of gender, in terms of background. And so we're seeing the gaming industry and the people that are involved in gaming. Like I'm just seeing so much more diversity now than I think has ever been before.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think in general, breaking those stereotypes of this is like a field of study that mostly boys go into. That
Hmm.
those types of stereotypes are breaking down more.
Yeah.
That's why we see more females in software development and coding, and
Yeah.
there's huge push for girls in STEM. And so I think that is changing overall.
Yeah.
But I guess it's still not a huge percentage where it seems like, because there's still a majority dominant, right?
It is still majority male in the gaming industry, but it is interesting to see the kinds of games that are coming out as the gaming creators evolve, right? So as you see more people, even older people, like people in our generation or older, creating games, they're going to tell a different story, right? They're going to have different life experience to bring to that. People who have a family are going to tell a different story than somebody who's single and never been through that life experience. And so it's really amazing to see as we invite women into that space, as we invite different ethnicities, people of different ages, that we are able to tell better stories in games. And so the kind of games that you see now are not just Mario and Duck Hunt, right? They are
Yeah,
some of these
exactly.
stories are really touching and really meaningful and encompass a lot of the life experience that the developers bring into it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I love how, you know, video games, we don't really, I don't know, think about it as much, but I'm just amazed at how comprehensive it is in regards to the so many different aspects of creativity involved in it, which I guess that should be something that we obviously think about in developing something like that. But just talking to you about it just makes it be more like real. I never really thought about it much, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think a lot of people just think of video games as programming, right? It's
Yeah.
coding. And there is a lot of that. But there is also art and animation, and games are becoming more and more popular as a storytelling medium. And it's fun to see things like, I don't know if you've seen the show Arcane on Netflix, but it's or the Mario movie or the Minecraft movie that's coming out. We're seeing now this trend where they're actually making movies out of games. Whereas for years we've had games that they might make because there was a popular movie or a popular TV show, right? And then they would spin off the game from that. But now we're seeing games as such a powerful storytelling tool that they're migrating into movies and TV and actually succeeding really well. The show Fallout was on Prime. They had a really successful viewership. So yeah, I just think that's an interesting shift in how people are looking at games as media.
Yeah, that is really cool. And that's something really interesting. And yeah, that's I'm so glad that I got to talk to you about this because this is like a bit of a new world for me too. And
Yeah.
as having a little girl, she is interested in sciences and things like that
Hmm.
because her dad is an engineer. So, she has some tendency towards that, it seems like. So it's interesting in seeing how, we can break those stereotypes and, differences in jobs and things and,
Right.
see more females in these spaces where we wouldn't have, seen them before.
Absolutely.
Engineering and software development and gaming. And so it's really interesting, especially seeing you as a video game developer because you had no experience even going into it. And here you are developing your own game, which is like, that says it all. That,
It's a little
but
crazy. I think you have to be a little crazy to do it too.
but I mean, it says like, if you put your mind to something, you can do it, right?
Yeah. Well, I believe it's
And
true. I do believe it's true. Yeah.
so I just love that whole aspect of it, and just like that's the theme here is like, if you can put your mind to it, you can accomplish what you want to do.
Absolutely.
You can
There's a
learn.
YouTube video for
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
I'm sure you can Google it.
Yeah.
But so, what would you tell others who may face hardships and how to overcome a challenge?
Man, learn how to grieve those losses because
Mm.
yeah, sometimes things don't work out and you need to know how to move on and move forward. There's a John Maxwell quote that says like it's okay to fail early, fail often, but always fail forward, right? So yes, hard things happen. Find a good person that you can share your feelings with, share your thoughts with, and who will listen and say, yeah, that's terrible. And what are you going to do next? What's next? Because I think that is just part of life. But keep going. Don't stop when it's hard because then you don't get to the other side. Yeah.
And how do you balance motherhood with your business?
Motherhood with my business. is a little bit different every day. I had a really good piece of advice when I had my first kid, which was around balance, right? You hear the word balance. And I told you I'm recovering codependent, right? And have issues with feeling like I'm failing a lot. So
Mhm.
I was like, great, every day I fail at balance because I can't get this thing right. And she said, no, 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 it's not like you get balanced and you're good.
Uh-huh.
She said, you every day is like a tightrope walk. Like you
Yeah.
take a step and everything shifts one side or the other, and then you take another step and you recalibrate. And that visual image was so helpful for me because it truly is that. I mean, even if you're not trying to work and raise kids, it's still that way because
Yeah.
they change every
Mhm.
single day and their
For
needs
sure.
change and their moods change, and
Yeah.
whatever whatever worked yesterday isn't going to work today. And so that idea that it's okay to shift and ebb and flow with the needs of the day was really freeing. And mine are older now, so they're
Mhm.
easier in terms of like I can say, "Go away! I need to do a podcast. Go manage yourself in the other room."
Yeah.
But when they're little, sometimes
Uh-huh.
it would just like, well, today is not going to be a day where I get much work done. So I'm going to, but my kid needs me to focus
Mhm.
on this. And then the next day, maybe he's more independent and I can actually do something. So that just having that mindset was helpful. And I'll also say, I just had to plan a little bit, that would feel claustrophobic to me if I didn't have like, okay, Thursday on the calendar, I have 2 hours where I'm going to have a little help and I can
Yeah.
get something done. Or I know that
Uh-huh.
he's going to go to bed at 7:30 and I'm going to be able to work for a couple hours. Like just being able to plan and have that to look forward to
Yeah.
makes the change in plans throughout the week easier to stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's like, how can anyone balance motherhood, fatherhood, life? And nothing is
Yes.
a balance. Although we say we try to balance everything, even how we discussed, balancing how much screen time we have.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe that word is overused, but
It's more like, which things am I completely neglecting today so that I can get the other things done? That's more realistic. Laundry never gets done at my house. Never. We just, it goes from the pile to the drawer. We're done. Yeah.
right, yeah, I know. Well, we have to be real about those things because life is messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have to be okay with messiness of it and find beauty in each day, right?
Absolutely.
Kind of like finding the good in it and trying to, learn not only from our failures, but that we're maybe finding redirection of how things
Yeah.
are
That's
going.
good.
But finally, leave us with, how would you encourage others in life, work, family, or motherhood?
Yeah. Um, you know, I think this dream is not going to be everybody's dream, right? Now, most people listening probably don't want to go into video game design or had never thought about that. But I think it started for me with asking God for something that I could like sink my teeth into. I was a mom of two young kids, and I was feeling like, okay, the medical school thing didn't work out, and that was a huge dream for me. So what am I supposed to do with my time if I'm not going to do that? And the response I felt like He gave me was to be faithful with what I already had.
Mhm.
And so I spent some time like really digging into what that meant for me as a stay at home mom. And for me at that season, it looked like making mealtime a little less stressful and doing some planning. I am not a planner or a schedule person. And so everything is just kind of fly by the seat of my pants most of the time. But I had to be a little more intentional about some of those things. And then I did some organization around the house and stretched myself in areas of discipline and structure that were not comfortable for me. And it was at kind of at the end of that season of like a year of trying to like be a good manager of what I had been given when I kind of stumbled across video game design and was like, this is my thing. And so I would just encourage you, like, just trust that the Lord knows your heart and that He has the thing for you that is that you were made to do, and if He leads you on a path that really does not look like that, like, it'll switch back, or he's got something in mind. And so I think that's the ultimate thing, is like, just trust that he knows you, and he's got something really good. And so whatever it is, whatever season he has you in, just live it as best you can.
Yeah, that's so beautiful because life is a journey and
Hmm.
mm, things may not always work out as we want it to. But, and I was like thinking about that the other day of just how no matter what, like God has a hopeful future for us. He has something good in store for us. And there will be pain, there will be sorrow, there will be joy,
Yeah.
and there will be peace, all the things, as long as we kind of just trust, as you said, trust in God no matter what we go through. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chera. I love this conversation, and
Thank
I'm so
you.
glad that we got to have this conversation and talk
Same. It was
after
good to
so
see you.
long. I know it was so great, and I'm just impressed. And congratulations again on all that you have accomplished and done. It's really an amazing thing and
Thank
a
you.
feat and an adventure that you've done. So,
Thank you.
congrats
I
on that.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for listening to this conversation. I hope that you too can find that spark of hope to put your mind to something, accomplish it, and know that no matter what, you can trust God in the journey. So, thank you all so much. Have a great day. Hope to have you guys back next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicine Motherhood Missions. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a sense of connection in the stories we shared today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram for updates, free downloads, and to join a community of like-minded individuals passionate about making a difference through medicine, motherhood, and mission work. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Until next time, keep sparking hope, keep healing, keep nurturing, and keep making a difference. This is Johanna signing off from Medicine Motherhood Missions. The medical opinions expressed on this podcast are for the informational purposes only and should not be considered as medical advice. Always consult a licensed healthcare provider for personal medical questions or concerns. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the podcast host.